43, yeah. You got some of your cup. Water bottle. Put up against the water bottle. Okay. All right. They'll never know.
You do too. 50, yeah.
I'm glad I got my glass. Yes. Yes. You want to try to have a committee meeting this week, like Thursday or something like that? Friday? No. Can you do Thursday? Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Gary Common Council meeting, November the 13th, 2018, within the 6 p.m. hour. I will ask everyone that can and will stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Moore will lead us in our prayer.
Our God, our Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, a name that is excellent in all the earth. As the peace of God rules in our hearts, we give thanks for the joy that fills our hearts when we consider all the marvelous things that you have done and are doing in our lives. We pray, O God, that your Spirit will be in this place as we attend to the business at hand. And may the word of Christ dwell in us richly in all wisdom and understanding. The work has been given to us, and you give us the power to accomplish this work. Thank you for the challenges, the opportunities of serving this city. And our prayer is not that the task be easier, but that you will empower us for the work that you have given us. And bless us to continue to serve with gladness, to serve with compassion, and with the desire to improve the living conditions of the citizens of this city. We pray, O God, that you will continue to keep us in your perfect peace. And we ask a special blessing this evening on the family of Naomi Millinder. Grant them comfort, grant them peace, touch their hearts in a mighty way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Moore, for the prayer. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown.
Present.
Councilwoman Caldwell. Here. Councilwoman Hatcher. Councilman Proto. Councilwoman Rogers. Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade. Here. Councilwoman Wyatt.
Here.
And President Board.
Here.
Mr. President, there are 6 present, 3 absent.
With 6 present, 3 absent, we do have a quorum to conduct the business of the city of Gary. Can I have approval from the minutes from the previous meeting?
Mr. President, I move that the minutes from our previous meeting be approved.
Second.
And moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown.
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell. Yes. Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade. Yes. Councilwoman Wyatt.
Yes.
And President Board.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, the minutes from the previous meeting has been adopted and so ordered. Sign and council pending ordinance and resolution on first reading.
CPO 2018-56, an ordinance to ordinance 9204, established a golf cart utility vehicle, sponsored by Councilman Herbert Smith Jr., Councilman at Large.
Public safety.
CPO 2018-57, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner is Carmela Bell, 4120 West 15th Avenue, Gary, Indiana. Property at 4120 West 15th Avenue, Gary, Indiana.
Planning.
CPO 2018-58, an ordinance establishing a fund and department for the Broadway Senior Park, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, and Department of Redevelopment and Planning.
Finance.
CPO 2018-59, an ordinance establishing a fund department for the city church stabilization, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, and Department of Redevelopment and Planning.
Finance.
CPO 2018-60, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner Linda Coulter, 6632 Lagoon Way, Portage, Indiana. property at 1988 Arthur Street, Gary, Indiana.
Planning.
CPO 2018-61, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner Carol Williams, 1916 Hayes Street, Gary, Indiana. Property at 759 Martin Luther King Drive, Gary, Indiana.
Planning.
Mr. President, is assignment of pending ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Brown.
I move to amend the agenda to add CPO 2018-62 to the agenda.
Been moved and properly second to add to our agenda 2000 CPO 2018-62. Been moved and properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, voted 6-0.
Vote to 6-0. CPO 2018-61 has been added to our agenda. 62.
CPO 2018-62, an ordinance authorizing a transfer of funds within the 101 General Fund for the Gary Common Council, sponsored by Ronald G. Brewer, President of Gary Common Council.
Finance.
Mr. President, ends the item of pending ordinances and resolutions.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Caldwell.
the Public Safety Committee has before it CPO 2018-56. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Mr. President, a majority of the committee has approved the ordinance for reporting out to the council. Public Safety is reporting out CPO 2018-56. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilman Smith. Mr. President, the majority of the committee has approved CPO 2018-56 for reporting out to the council.
So you can hear me. Mr. President, the Planning Committee has before it CPO 2018-57. For the record, Councilwoman Caldwell. Mr. President, the majority of the Planning Committee has approved CPO 2018-57 for reporting out to the council.
Councilwoman Brown.
Yes. 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 Mr. President,
Councilman Smith.
the Planning Committee has before it CPO 2018-60. For the record, I approve this ordinance for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell. Mr. President, the Planning Committee has before it CPO 2018-61 for reporting out to the council. Councilwoman Caldwell.
Have all members to report out, committee members.
President, planning like to report out CPO 2018-57, 2018-60, and 2018-61.
Thank you. At this time, special select any council members. Councilwoman Brown.
Before we go to, special and select, the city has received some donations and the council with those donations. Monetary and donations given to the city of Gary for the special event hosted by the city's monetary funds were deposited into the special event account fund 707. In the event that they raise $1,000 in the anniversary, National Light Night Out, $1,000 in the University Northwest, $500 in the American Water, $250 Cutting the Council Trustees, $100 Whitaker and Associates, $100 Culver and Culver. Harvest Festival 2018, $200 J&D Construction, and $50 TL Bank. So these are donations that were made to the city and the council.
Is there a second to approve the donations?
Second.
Second by Councilman Smith. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown.
Yes.
Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt.
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0, the donation that was just mentioned by Councilwoman Brown has been accepted by this body and so ordered. Special and select by any council members.
Mr. President,
Councilman Smith.
okay, I would like to basically discuss the standing investigative committee, just briefly. We convened it on Thursday, September 27, 2018. At that time, we disseminated all the information that was given to us by the city to council members. At that time, we set a schedule of giving out the information and receiving questions from council members. At this time, we received no questions from council members. And in light of that, well, in addition to that, I asked Mr. Moore to review the information that was given to us. Mr. Moore reviewed it and gave me his opinion. So at this time, what I like to do as the chairman of the investigative committee is go with the recommendation of Mr. Moore, which basically states that we should basically go with the findings of the State Board of Accounts, or wait to the findings of the State Board of Accounts, because it would be more efficient and they have the resources to do a thorough review. In light of us not getting any questions from council members when it was requested that we receive this information, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the investigative committee until the State Board of Accounts complete its investigation of Fund 224.
Is there any question by any council members? I
Mr.
was
President.
looking for, yes.
I understand, I attended that meeting, and I understand that basically the reason we're going to suspend the council's investigation pending what the State Board of Accounts finds out, correct? And for that, I'm not in opposition.
I was hoping Mr. Whitaker would have been here. He was going to shine a little more light on the findings of that. Some more detailed information have come out, but I was hoping that he would be here. But by him not being here, I would not go into it tonight. So there's a motion to suspend. The investigation committee has been seconded by Councilwoman Brown. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown. Councilwoman Caldwell. Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt,
Yes.
and President Bowie.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0. The investigation committee has been suspended on the 224 funds at this time. Special and select,
Mr. Pre, oh, go ahead.
Councilwoman Brown.
I just like to, make mention that the third organization is holding our community meeting on Monday, November 19th, at 5:30 p.m. It's our last meeting for the year. We always have a meeting in November, kind of a wrap-up. We like to do that meeting and extend holiday greetings to those persons who have supported us throughout the year. So that meeting will be held on Monday, November 19th at 5:30 at Tolleson Pavilion. And of course, all are invited. And I'd also like to extend my condolences to the Millender and to the Preston family in the loss of Naomi Millender, whose funeral arrived here on yesterday. So I too would like to extend my condolences to that family. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilwoman White.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to extend my condolences to the Naomi Millender's family. She was just such a wonderful support and teacher to me of the history of Gary. I have always been fascinated by this history, and she was able to lead me into understandings of it that I would not have had otherwise. She will be dearly missed, and I don't know how we will fill her shoes, because she did so much and she did it tirelessly. So my condolences to the family and the friends and associates who are all feeling the loss. And in that same vein, we are having an Art, Culture, and History Committee, of which Naomi Millender was always supportive and always attended, did not miss a meeting. And that is scheduled for Monday, November 19th. It will be in the Council Lounge at City Hall at 6 p.m. We also have a First District Community Meeting. We are suspending our meetings for the holiday months of November and December. However, we will continue with the fourth Monday of every month, starting with January 28th of 2019. That will be at Marquette Park Pavilion at 6 p.m. And I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Councilman
I
Smith.
just want to say I'd like to give my condolences to Naomi Millender. I'm losing my voice. Good grief. Naomi Millender and her family. I would see them often at church with me, and she will be sorely missed. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Also, my condolences go out to the Millender family and the Preston family. I've been around that family pretty much all my life. Definitely a jewel to the city. She will be missed inside this community. And also want to send condolences out to the families in the California area, the ones that was in the mass shooting that took place at the nightclub there, where 12 individuals was killed and several was injured, and also the ones that have lost their lives in California with the fire also. Lives and property. Property can be replaced, but lives cannot be replaced. So my heartfelt condolences goes out to those families at this time. The mayor's not here, but I want to congratulate the mayor. She has become the president of the National League of Cities, which is a great honor to have our mayor to serve in that capacity there. So we really appreciate that. And if there's nothing else, we'll move right on to third and final at this time. Madam Clerk.
CPO 2018-50, an ordinance amending ordinance 7594 to expand the uses of the City of Gary, Indiana Police Department non-reverting abandoned vehicle fund and to provide appropriations needed to meet necessary expenses incurred during city auctions for 2018, sponsored by Chief Richard Allen, Gary Police Department.
Councilman Brown? Moving properly second. Do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Roll call on the amendment.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell? Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes?
And President Bowie.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-50 has been amended. So ordered. Overview at this time. Our chief of staff is coming to do the overview.
And I'm going to ask Commander or Deputy Chief Evans to join me also in case there's some questions. But currently, the ordinance allows for funds from the sale from police auctions to purchase additional vehicles. We would like to expand the use to include repair and parts for those police vehicles, as you might realize is that is a significant expense related to the upkeep of our police vehicles. So again, we're just asking to expand what is allowed to be purchased from these funds to include repair and parts.
Darryl? It's our technician. Chief of Staff, can you give an overview again for us? Yes.
Okay. I'm going to try this again. This is related to Ordinance 254. The Police Non-Reverting Fund was established to assist the police department with funding of the purchase of police equipment for new police cars. The police department has a fleet of 171 vehicles, motorcycles, ATVs, bikes, and drones. 81 of those vehicles are 2010 or older, and 71 are 2015 or newer. The budget amendment would allow for spending of those funds on repair parts, repairs to equipment, contract maintenance, garage and motor supplies, machinery and equipment. So it expands the allowable use of those dollars to repair police vehicles and to purchase parts. The police department's public auctions held quarterly, and the fees collected for towing releases per the towing ordinance of 2018, those dollars could be used in this expanded way that I have described.
Questions, council members?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman White.
what is the amendment? I did not get a copy of it. Do we have an amendment?
You should have been on there. Yes. Any other questions, council members? Thank you. At this time, public portion is open for anyone who'd like to speak for or against CPO 2018-50. You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District, and this seems to be a common sense solution. It's not a lot of money. I guess we were budgeting just over $61,000, which probably wouldn't have bought very many complete unit cars, but would have made and probably would not have done much to contribute to the very expensive maintenance of very important police vehicles. We've upped that budget to 114, which still would not buy very many new police units, but would make a greater contribution to making sure that all of the vehicles that our first responders, our police are using are going to be road ready. I know that even as I go to the public safety building, it's very evident to me, just as a layperson and just walking through the parking lot, that you can see many of the tires on the vehicles appear to be needing replacement, and that's one of the most important safety items when cars are on the road, especially under conditions where we might have rain or sleet, snow, etc. So glad to see that we're making a common sense change using this money not simply to buy new vehicles, but to keep the vehicles that we already have road ready. Would emphasize that oil changes, tires, these are things that although they're not large items individually, they would certainly add up when we're talking about over 100 vehicles. So glad that we're making this change, and I would urge the council to find additional sources to make sure that every vehicle, whether it's 8 years old or 3 years old or anything else, is road ready, is a safe and complete vehicle, that we shouldn't have to apologize for the conditions of the vehicles that our police use on a daily basis, serving and protecting the citizens of Gary. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Gary City Council and the public. My name is Jason Reeves. I do some writing in terms of the Hearn Foundation, which is an endowment of business and engineering solutions. As you talk about vehicle maintenance, it's a critical subject as it applies to maintaining city vehicles, which consist of cars, trucks, and even some heavy machinery. One factor is that these vehicles have to be maintained in a productive way, and maintenance on a day-by-day process, week by week, month by month, and the young people, as well as some older people that pursue these trades, is a critical factor to keeping our city, the economy, and people being productively working at that capacity. I mean, because emergency vehicles are critical in so many ways, as well as what other vehicles are maintained throughout the city. So I hope you can take that in consideration, and thank you very much.
Seeing no one else, public portion is now closed.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I have a question that came up through the public comment, if I may. We're talking about the funds may be used for repair of the vehicles, but would that also include maintenance, like preventive maintenance? I just don't want to get stuck in a place where we haven't been inclusive enough in our language that we could, use the money for oil changes or whatever is needed for preventive maintenance. Is that what's envisioned here?
It does say garage and motor supplies, so.
It is our intention that it includes preventive maintenance and parts.
Okay.
Any other questions, council members? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown. Councilwoman Caldwell.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt.
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
6-0, CPO 2018-50 passes on third and final and so ordered.
CPO 2018-52, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana, Petitioner Midwest Self-Storage Development LLC, 103 East Lincoln Way, Valparaiso, Indiana. Property at 5768, 5822, 5840 West Ridge Road, Gary, Indiana, 5821 West 38th Avenue, Gary, Indiana, and 3780 Calhoun Street, Gary, Indiana.
Mr. President, I move for passage. I move for passage of CPO 2018-52.
Been moved and properly second. Overview at this time.
I don't believe anyone from Midwest is here, and I know that the council has taken the position of not voting when the petitioner is not present. I can go forward with the overview if you choose to.
I will ask if you would go forward if there's no objection by council members, because the last meeting was changed because of something out of all of our control. So I wouldn't want to hold up anything of progress.
Okay.
If there's no objection.
Will do. Midwest Self-Storage is proposing to develop a self-storage facility located in the former Ultra Food site on Ridge Road. The site is currently Zone B5. Self-storage facilities are permitted use in M zones only. They apply for variance for the entire site, not just the Ultra Food. The variance petition came before the BZA August 14, 2018. Prior to that meeting, 9 public notices were mailed to the surrounding property owners. From those notices, 6 did not respond, 0 were in favor, and 3 were opposed. Of those who wrote back opposing, 1 did not include an address. The other 2 came from the homeowners at 3743 Calhoun and 3735 Calhoun. That included a letter of opposition and a petition that was circulated with name signatures of 548 people. Only a few of the names and signatures had addresses or phone numbers listed. There was a letter attached to the petition outlining their reasons for opposing. On that date, at the BZA meeting, no one from the public spoke in favor or in opposition. The BZA voted on 8/14 to defer the petition until a public meeting could be held. The petition was deferred again at the September meeting, and a public meeting was held with Councilwoman Linda Barnes Caldwell at the Roosevelt Pavilion on 10/1. No members of the public spoke in opposition to the project at the meeting, nor at the BZA meeting held October 9th. BZA voted on October 9th to approve Midwest Self-Storage request for variance.
Questions, council members? Thank you. Tonight is set aside for the public portion. Anyone would like to speak for or against CPO 2018-52? Seeing none, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes?
And President Board.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-52 is passed on third and final and so ordered.
CPL 2018-53, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Use, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner Eunice Watson, 4968 Rhode Island Street, Gary, Indiana. Property at 4968 Rhode Island, Gary, Indiana.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2018-53 on third and final reading.
Second.
Move and properly second. Overview at this time.
This is the property located at 4968 Rhode Island Street in Gary. Ms. Watson received a letter from the state asking for proof of local zoning approval for her home daycare operation, which led her to seek a special use permit. However, she is only taking care of her grandchildren, which was originally unclear. Because this is considered family under the city's code of ordinances, the council members at the planning committee determined the petition should be withdrawn as a special use permit is not necessary.
If there are questions, council members?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, this ordinance right here, I believe in committee, we did state that we were going to withdraw it because there was no need for it. So what I like to do at this time.
You just said that.
Okay.
That we should withdraw it.
Yeah. So at this time, what I like to do is withdraw CPO 2018-53.
There's a motion on the floor to withdraw CPO 2018-53. Has been second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell? Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-53 has been withdrawn from our agenda.
CPO 2018-54, an ordinance revising appropriations for the 2018 salary and operating budgets, special revenue funds in the City of Gary, sponsored by Mayor Karen Fleming Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Overview at this time.
This ordinance is requesting to add $5,000 to current charges to allow for the expenditure of donations received for special events such as the Independence Day Parade, National Night Out, Harvest Festival.
Is there any questions, council members? Thank you. At this time, public portion is now open for anyone that would like to speak for or against CPO 2018-54.
Yeah, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Gary City Council. My name is Jason Reeves, and I do some writing in terms of the Hearn Foundation, which is Endowment of Business and Engineering Solutions. CPO 2018-53 and CPO 2018-54. One seems to be land usage, and one seems to be budgets or special revenue funds. I'm severely critical about land usage, and maybe I didn't hear you correctly
We're
on
54.
whether it was 53 or 54.
54.
Okay, so the concept of operating budgets, it becomes a critical format. And when I say format, I mean the right projects getting done at the right time. From time to time, we have kind of went backwards in terms of a city and the infrastructure. So as it applies to the budget and the infrastructure, which I'm highly concerned about, I hope you vote on this in the right way as it applies to appropriating money in that fund in terms of the infrastructure and budget. Thank you.
Public portion is closed. Let me just make note there will be none of these funds used for any infrastructure in this budget. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-54 is passed on third and final and so ordered.
CPO 2018-55, an amendment to Ordinance 9150, 2018 operating budget appropriations for the City of Gary regarding the local roads and street fund. Sponsored by Mayor Karen Fleming Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller.
Councilwoman Brown. Moving properly second. Overview at this time.
This ordinance is to revise appropriations for the 2018 operating budget of the local roads and street fund. We are moving budget appropriations, or requesting to move budget appropriations from areas like debt service and bond premium, where those dollars are not needed, to cover expenses like overtime, supplies, and equipment.
Any questions by council members? Thank you. The public portion is now open. Anyone would like to speak for or against CPO 2018-55? You have 3 minutes to speak on this ordinance. Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote is 6-0. CPO 2018-55 passed on third and final, so ordered.
Mr. President, ends pending ordinances and resolutions on third and final.
Council pending ordinance and resolution on second reading. Councilwoman Brown.
Before we begin, I'd like to get some dates, clarity on the date for next council meeting.
Yes.
So we can schedule it, if you don't mind.
Okay. The next council meeting will take place November 20th, here in November the 20th, right here in the Genesis Convention Center at 6 p.m. And while we're there, let me just plug this note in here. We will, right now at this current time, we will be here into the upcoming new year, having all council members meetings right here in the Genesis Center.
CPO 2018-56, an ordinance to ordinance 9204, establish a golf cart utility vehicle, sponsored by Councilman Herbert Smith Jr., Councilman at large.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2018-56 on second reading with a committee hearing Monday, November the 19th at 6 p.m. and a public hearing November the 20th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-56 is moving to the Public Safety Committee hearing Monday, November 19th at 6 p.m.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Wyatt.
just a housekeeping matter. I have an Art, Culture, and History Committee scheduled for the council lounge on that night at that time. So we need to have a different place or a different time.
Mr. President, I have a meeting scheduled for that date as well, but I'm going to schedule my meeting for that prior to the final session on the council. I mean, I can do it. All right. I'll schedule it that way.
Okay. Which would be,
Prior to the 16th.
Okay, wait a minute, are we talking about the same thing? I think we're on two different things. Okay, I think she was talking about Councilwoman Caldwell's meeting on that Monday. She has the lounge scheduled for her meeting
at 6.
at 6. Does this Thursday look good for anybody? This Thursday. Leave the lounge is open this Thursday. Huh?
We clean up committee then.
So we what, Tuesday? There's other rooms that we can use, I know, in City Hall.
We could do it at 5:30.
My commitment is November 19th, 5:30.
Oh,
So I cannot do meetings on that day. So I would schedule my committee for that Friday. That's the only time I can do it.
Well, it doesn't make sense to come every day, so we'll just go Friday as well. Mr. President, I would like to change that meeting from the 19th to the 16th. And yours is at what time, 5:30?
Okay, 6 o'clock, next Friday? Okay. So the meeting date has been changed to November, that'd be Friday, the 16th, at 6 p.m. Okay.
thank you.
CPO 2018-57, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana, petitioner Carmela Bell, 4120 West 15th Avenue, Gary, Indiana, property at 4120 West 15th Avenue, Gary, Indiana.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2018-57 on second reading with the committee hearing on November 16th at 6:15 p.m. and a public hearing on November 20th at 6 p.m.
Move properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes,
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0. CPO 2018-57 is moving to the Planning Committee, meeting November the 16th at 6:15 p.m.
CPO 2018-58, an ordinance establishing a fund and department for the Broadway Senior Park, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, and Department of Redevelopment and Planning.
Moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote of 6-0. CPO 2018-58 is moving to the Finance Committee. Finance Committee will be November the 16th at 5:30 p.m. and a public hearing November the 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2016-59, an ordinance establishing a fund and department for the City of Gary Church Stabilization, sponsored by Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, City of Gary, Angela Hayes, City Controller, and Department of Redevelopment and Planning.
Councilwoman Brown. Moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell? Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes,
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-59 is moving to the Finance Committee, November 16th at 5:30 p.m. Public hearing November 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2018-60, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner Linda Coulter, 6632 Lagoon Way, Portage, Indiana. Property at 1988 Arthur Street, Gary, Indiana.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2018-60 on second reading with the Planning Committee meeting on November 16th at 6:15 p.m. and a public hearing on November 20th at 6 p.m.
Moving properly second. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
The vote for 6-0, CPO 2018-60 is moving to the Planning Committee November 20th at 6:15. Public hearing November 16th at 6:15, and a public hearing November 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2018-61, an ordinance amending Title 15 entitled Land Usage, Chapter 123 entitled Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Gary, Indiana. Petitioner Carol Williams, 1916 Hayes Street, Gary, Indiana. Property at 759 Martin Luther King Drive, Gary.
Mr. President, I move for passage of CPO 2018-61 on second reading for the Planning Committee hearing on November 16th at 6:15 p.m. and a public hearing on November 20th at 6 p.m.
Second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
The vote is 6-0. CPO 2018-61 is moving to the Planning Committee November 16th at 6:15, and a public hearing November 20th at 6 p.m.
CPO 2018-62, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of funds within a 101 general fund for the Gary Common Council, sponsored by Ronald Brewer, Gary Common Council President.
Councilwoman Brown.
Is it possible that we can pass this ordinance tonight on reading?
I like it if we could, yes.
Okay, that is my motion.
Mr. President,
I would like to pass on all three readings.
A second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Caldwell. Roll call,
President.
Madam Clerk.
I don't have a copy of it. Oh, is that the one with the, that's the, police?
No, this is for the media fund. You can have my copy.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, vote is 6-0.
Vote 6-0. We have suspended the rules to pass on all three tonight. CPO 2018-62. Overview at this time. I'll give the overview. I'll give it. Yes. The council is looking, well, I'm looking to do some upgrades in the media fund, the media department there. We're upgrading the equipment to make sure that we can get a better quality out to the citizens at home for picture-wise, and to make sure when council members are having meetings in different districts, you have what you need to project the information out to the public. So I'm asking to have, from the media fund, a total of $9,739.88 to be transferred over, requesting to transfer over from machinery and equipment. Thank you. Is there any other questions from council members? And
Mr.
other
President.
materials, yes.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman White.
what does the machinery and equipment line usually, what do we usually use that for?
Well,
The one that we're transferring out of?
we usually use it for machinery and equipment. We're just transferring over to buy equipment for the media fund now.
Okay, so like, what kind of machinery? I guess that's the question.
So we're covering like your computers, your copiers, and things of that nature.
Okay.
Any type of equipment that we would use.
Okay.
At this time, public portion is now open for anyone who'd like to speak for or against CPO 2018-62. Seeing none, public portion is closed. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Brown? Councilwoman Caldwell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sparks Wade?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wyatt?
Yes.
And President Brewer.
Yes.
Mr. President, the vote is 6-0.
With a vote of 6-0, CPO 2018-62 has passed on all three readings and so ordered.
Mr. President, that ends pending orders and resolutions on second reading.
Before our chief of staff come with her report, just want to reiterate about the council meetings being here inside of the Genesee Convention Center. We will convene here until further notice, but I do know we will be here until the beginning of next year. There is work being taken place at this current time with a new roof being put on site of City Hall, and I don't want to interrupt any of the operations of business being taken place by this body here inside the council lounge. We have had previous time where the meeting has been interrupted because of roof leaks inside of the chambers. Just want to let people know this roof leak is not coming from any previous work that was done. It's coming from new work that's taking place with the new roof being put on City Hall at this time. Also, I know I received a lot of calls about salt and the road conditions. It's winter time, everybody. It's winter time. There was trucks out early this morning, salting the streets, but we had got snow pretty much all night long, and it's black ice out there. A lot of roads we have just paved inside the city, and you saw a tremendous number of black ice on the new streets that we have paved inside the city. So I just want to let citizens know that we do have salt, we are salting the streets, and we do have trucks that's out taking care of the business. But you have to use cautions. Anytime the weather goes from one season to the next, you're going to have some type of issues there with people trying to adjust to the weather conditions. It's not a dry season like we normally do, wake up in the morning. You will have these things because we are in the Midwest, and these things do happen here. So let's just be a little patient with us, but we do have the equipment. We are ready to make sure that the public safety is taken care of inside the city of Gary.
Mr. President, can I address that?
Yes.
for a second? Anybody who lives in the Midwest knows when the snow comes down, we're gonna have slick streets. So our General Services Department should also know it snows, we gotta get out there early, do what we need to do to get the streets safe for the citizens of the city of Gary. I live on the far south, I border Hobart, the city of Hobart. I can look east, Hobart streets are done. I look west on 39th Avenue, and Gary streets are not done. I'm sliding through stop signs in the city of Gary. I'm not sliding through stop signs in the city of Maryville and Hobart and Crown Point. Salt is all over the place. So I'm not giving any more excuses, because this is something that citizens expect in return for paying taxes. We just had a property tax deadline today. The line was out the door. People expect services in return for the taxes that they submit to the city. It's okay if you're late every now and again, but it should not be an annual occurrence that we're always the last ones to get salt down on the street. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I would just say, Councilwoman, I won't say we last, but our city is one of the biggest cities than the rest of the cities there. I have plenty of conversation with mayors adjacent to our city, and they say the conversation pretty much goes that we can get a lot more done because our city is not as big as you all, and it looks like we're getting a lot more done. But if they was in our predicament, they would be dealing with pretty much some of the same things we're all dealing with right now with our city, with the finances being the way they are. It would be nice to hire another 25 men and women with CDL license and get the trust to go along with it, but finances just don't justify that. But I do agree with you, though. There is no excuse for salt not to be on the street. I can say when I was just out in Los Angeles this past week there, I was very impressed with General Service, the department, when we had a little snow came down while I was away, and how they coordinated the team and had the team out in a timely fashion. I know a little bit more snow fell last night, which caused conditions to be a little different, and the temperatures dropped down into the teens throughout the night. So it's certain things does factor in. I do understand that, but at the same time, I ask citizens to be a little patient with us, leave a little early. Everything is not all bad inside the city, but when you do find those things, please just notify us and let us know of those problems. But I do understand your concern.
Frustration.
I didn't want to use it, but I do understand your concern and even frustration at that point, about salt being down in a timely fashion. So we will make sure that those things are taken care of, and I'll make sure I keep you abreast also, too, of those time schedules also. At this time, our chief of staff will come with the report from the mayor's office.
The city would like to offer up condolences to the family of Naomi Millender, daughter of Dolly Millender, the Gary historian. She was a champion of education, the Gary Historical and Cultural Society, and the Gary Civic Symphony Orchestra, where she was a member, author, and playwright. The city would also like to offer up condolences to the family of Carl Jones, a Gary contractor and owner of GEO A&L Contractors. We would like to thank everyone for their work, the Gary Genesis staff, the public safety, elected officials, all of our guests in hosting the President Obama on Sunday, November 4th. We were able to host an event with record-breaking numbers here at the Genesis Center. We feel it went well, and we are happy to have guests again to visit our facility. Thank you, everyone, for your support of the Harvest Festival and Trunk or Treat Wednesday, October 31st at the Hudson Campbell. The Harvest Festival is the city's alternative to door-to-door trick-or-treating. The city participated in a community vigil to honor the victims and families of the synagogue shooting in Pennsylvania on Friday, November 2nd at Temple, Israel. The vigil showed solidarity not only for the victims in Pittsburgh, but solidarity regardless of race or religion. On November 5th, we joined the Gary Housing Authority and HUD Midwest Regional Director at the demolition event at Delaney West. $3.2 million were awarded from HUD, which allows for the demolition of Delaney West and the Concord Village Apartments west of Burr Street. The city's Thanksgiving food basket giveaway and celebration will be held on November 19th from 5 to 7. Gary residents who have applied will receive baskets during the event. Volunteers and donations are welcome. Please call 881, the Mayor's Office of Constituent Services at 881-4815. I just want to give a couple of updates also as it relates to the roof repair. We have an opportunity to provide a roof with green features that has features such as the redistribution of water so that you use less sewage and water can be reused to water native plants near City Hall. That funding came in recently. That work has just started in the last couple of weeks. They are prepping the roof to convert it to a more green roof. That is the work that is currently being done on the roof. Paving update. The paving that we discussed earlier has been completed. The markings have not been done yet. We are looking at ways to do marking in this weather or delaying it to the next season. So it depends on what the contractors come back with. So that work is also being done. The sale leaseback transaction is still in the works. We are working to make sure that we have the best deal possible for the city. So those negotiations continue to go on. It is our expectation that it will be closing within the week or so. That is it.
Is there any questions from the chief of staff? I would just say with the marking for the street, if we can delay it with the climate of the weather that we have now, if we can delay it to the springtime so that way everyone can see fresh markings from spring, that would be very nice. I do understand about the roof, and I just want to do a little clarity on the roof there. With the green roof, it's not like a regular roof where you just tear down a rubber roof and you put it back. There's extensive work that's going on with some structure removal of the facility, the building itself, and which will be put back. So it's time consuming. So it will be some months work being taken place on that throughout the winter time on the roof there. So I just want to bring everyone aware of that also. But I am happy to see that the paving get completed before the elements turn bad. I know there's still some work, sewer work that's going on 4th Avenue and on the bigger street, on 4th and Bigger also too. So appreciate the update. We have 3 speakers, possibly 2. Mr. Reeves have left. Ms. Williams. Ms. Williams in here? Mr. Nowacki, your only speaker.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Jim Nowacki. I live in the 2nd District. This Thursday, NERPC will be meeting in Portage. I'll be walking from Gary to NERPC to attend that meeting. And as my regular complaints that I bring to NERPC's attention are the conditions of major state road work in our city. We know that 5 years ago, the state completed work on 5th Avenue. And to this date, they still haven't made repairs on the problems of flooding on both east and west of Broadway. I've been complaining now about that for 5 years. And although they have released some funds to make those corrections, 5 years later, even though the problems were obvious while they were doing the road, 5 years later, those problems haven't been corrected, but I continue to complain about it. And as it relates to Broadway, now 2 years into that project, problems that are obvious to anybody have still not been addressed. I continue to complain about that, but you know, I feel like that story in the Old Testament where the Philistines had Goliath. And who does Gary send to defend our interests? Not a warrior like the council president, who I would hope would come to that meeting and complain that we're being shortchanged by the state. Not maybe one of our chair people from one of our important committees. We send the smallest warrior we can find in this state. Person with absolutely no power, no authority. Just a slingshot. And yet I'm still able to get a couple of things done there. But I have to say that they must be laughing at this city. Because in no other community can they spend $40 million on a project and 5 years later they're still farting around with major flooding on the project. Nowhere else can they spend 2 years and $15 million on a project, and 2 years later, the road's falling apart, flooding up and down, project still not done, and it's already another season. So I'll be at NERPC. I'll bring a slingshot. I'll bring a pocket full of stones, and I'll take on those Republicans who are treating our city giving us less than adequate service, spending money but wasting it instead of providing a good service. And I would hope that even with my little slingshot, it's going to find a mark, and we're going to get those projects completed. But I have to tell you, I would like to see President Brewer come to one of those meetings. You see the problems, I see the problems, one of our committee chairs, because we need more than just a slingshot to take down this Goliath. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wackey. Just want to say he was our last speaker. Some of those issues that you have brought before this council have been addressed If you take the one main issue that sits out like a sore thumb with our seniors that's in the senior high-rise, I believe that's on 6th and Broadway there, there was major sewer problems there, and that has been corrected. It's a temporary correction, but it has been corrected where there is no flooding at this current time happening on either side of the street in that area. Several spots going up and down Broadway. We walked that ourselves, myself, with NERC and some of the engineers out there, and we walked and we've seen some correction that needs to be done. In the IU area there, those corrections have been taking place where some of the areas and intersections where pedestrians cross the street, they actually had to tear those things back out because they was not done properly. So there have been some correction. I don't believe we have done the final punch list through because they are still making changes. So it is an ongoing process, and I will be a part of the final punch list going through on Broadway. So I have done one punch list on there. Even in one area there was some sidewalks that was not put off the expressway. If you go down right over the expressway of 8094 there, you will see brand new sidewalks that was not there, that they had missed. We've seen that it was missed, and brand new sidewalks is in place. So I'll be inside of the last walkthrough, so I'll give you an update on that also. So I'm aware. Is there any more discussion by any council members before we dismiss? Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, our viewing audience. We are now being viewed live over the web and Facebook. This is one thing that we're trying to do, upgrade our media equipment. We want you to get the same production that you get on channel 5, 2, and 7. We want to bring it to you at home. So thank you everyone for joining us. Look forward to seeing you back here in the Genesis Convention Center November 20th at 6 p.m. Have a good night. It's the meeting adjourned. All right. We said